What's good, guys? Welcome back to Small Talk on Head-to-Head Fantasy Basketball. And of course, I'm being joined with my good buddy of mine, Anson.
Yo, what's up, guys? Today we'll be reacting to your trades in our Discord community. If you guys haven't joined our Discord community, go ahead and join. Link in the description. It's just a community of guys. We talk about trades. If you guys ever have any questions regarding trades in your own league, people just throw them in all the time. Alan and I and a few friends of ours try to go in there and answer your questions as much as we can. But today we're going to be doing it in video format and basically just giving you guys more in-depth analysis of what's really going through our heads when we answer your questions.
Yep. Let's get started with our first trade. So this is our NBA trade analyzer. So we're gonna see this is an actual trade that was offered in another person's league, right? So they said Cade Cunningham and Pascal for Kevin Durant and Evan Mobley. So I'm gonna give you guys a little bit of time, just a few seconds to kind of see which side you guys want, right? You guys have your own reasoning, and then Anson and I will talk about which side we want, prefer on our trade. All right, so you want to start, Anson?
Yeah, so I favor the Cade Cunningham Pascal Siakam side. I do think this is a pretty even trade. It could honestly go both ways. I prefer Cade and Pascal mostly because of injury concerns. As we know, Kevin Durant, he's played maybe 40, 50 games, uh, average the past 4 or 5 years. So he's very injury prone. He's getting older. And then Evan Mobley, he's still going to be out for at least 4 more weeks minimum, 4 to 6 more weeks minimum. He has surgery on his left knee. So because of that reason, especially if you're in a league with one IR, for the next 4 to 6 weeks, which is basically maybe half of the remaining season left, you're giving up Cade and Pascal for KD. The way Pascal has been playing, he's basically playing on par with KD. The past week or so, or past 2 weeks, he's been kind of being the Pascal that we kind of expected him to be. KD is still better, but Pascal's more reliable in terms of injuries. Cade's also been having some really big games. He looks really motivated to win. So Cade really struggled in the beginning, but he's showing a lot of upside for the rest of the season. So yeah, that's why I'd go with Cade and Pascal. How about you?
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. I do not like injury prone players. In both or like in most of my leagues that I've drafted, I kind of stayed away from Kevin Durant and Mobley. It was more so of I didn't trust really KD. He's getting older, injury issues, and I would definitely prefer Pascal just because there's a lot of upside on Pascal Siakam since he has been performing in the beginning, but we can slowly start to see him improve and improve. So, like you said already, Pascal Siakam is also getting better and better, playing almost on par with Kevin Durant. I think he might be even playing better. And then Cade Cunningham showed us flashes of maybe even potential, top 20 value, right? He has these monster games, and then he also has these horrible single digit duds, basically. I think Cade Cunningham, as a player as he is, especially on the Detroit Pistons, he doesn't really have any help. So if it continues on of him just running the show, I can expect a lot more potential upside for Cade. In the beginning, he was struggling with a lot of turnovers and his shot wasn't going in. And now his shot's falling. He's playing better and better. They got their first win. So looking pretty solid for Cade Cunningham. So in my opinion, I would definitely pick Cade and Pascal for this trade. Let's move on to our next trade. We got Anthony Simons and Bam for Randle and Kawhi. Okay, in my opinion, this is kind of like a little bit of no-brainer to me. I would kind of just roll with Julius Randle and Kawhi. I know for Kawhi, injury issues is definitely a thing, but then you have Randle that's, never really gets injured. And then if you look at Anthony, he is probably going to be the star of Portland, playing beside Scoot or maybe even Sharp. So I think Anthony is definitely gonna be better fantasy wise, like average points. But we do see that he does struggle with some injuries in the beginning when he only played one game, he got injured and he came back now. So he's looking a lot better. Bam, not really known for his injuries, but he did suffer a few injuries here and there. So we're just kind of want to see what how he plays out. He is definitely average wise. I think he's not as good as Kawhi, but I think he's better than Randall. So I think this is a kind of a toss-up, but I definitely would favor Randle and Kawhi, in my opinion.
Yeah, I usually don't like the injury prone players like Kawhi, but I think you're just getting a lot of value. So I would rather prefer Randall and Kawhi in this situation. I think that Julius Randle and Bam are pretty similar. Yes, Bam is averaging 42. Randall's averaging, I believe he's averaging 38 right now. But if you look at the past 30 games, Randall really struggled in the beginning. He's really picked it up. Bam now is starting to slow down. I think if you kind of just evaluate them, balance out, and try to anticipate what their future fantasy production is, I think Bam and Randall is pretty equal. Anthony Simons, we haven't seen too much of him, but what we have seen from him is really, really good. He's very productive, but I don't think he's Kawhi productive. Kawhi, last 15 games or last 30 games, he's averaging 55.6 fantasy points, which would rank him in the top 10 just for the past month in terms of averages. Yes, he does have injury concerns, but you're saying, okay, a top 10 player versus Anthony Simons, who averages 42 the last month, which that's a pretty good sample size because beginning of the season he was not healthy. Anthony Simons is top 30 to 40 range. Kawhi is top 10. So even though there's some injury risk, I think it's really worth it just to go and get Kawhi.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. So if you guys have any of your own trades that you guys want to talk about, drop them down in our Discord. We'll definitely try to answer it in the best way we can. But this is kind of how we, gauge a trade when we look at it. But yeah, let's move on to our next trade. We got Kyle Kuzma, Malik Monk, and PG for Andre Drummond and John Morant. Okay, this is going to be a very interesting trade. I don't even know how Drummond got thrown into this trade talk. Maybe because his sample size of like 2 games where he does really good. Even tonight, I don't think he did crazy. But for Kyle Kuzma, PG, and Monk, is kind of just for Jaw. I think Drummond is definitely droppable once Vucevic comes back in about a week. So for this one, no brainer. I'm just gonna go with PG, Kyle Kuzma, and Malik Monk, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think if you're looking at trades like these, you really have to eliminate everyone who's going to be dropped. Andre Drummond, when Vucevic comes back, Andre Drummond's basically, he's going to be playing 15 minutes. He's not going to be putting up the numbers he's putting. He's not going to be rosterable at all. Malik Monk, he's very borderline as well. So when you look at this trade, you just look at Kyle Kuzma, Paul George for Ja Morant. And I think I would still go with Kyle Kuzma and Paul George. It's a little bit more of a safer option. Ja Morant, he is looking pretty good, but Kyle Kuzma remains to be the number one option of the Wizards. Paul George, he was our sell high candidate, although he dropped off a little bit. He's still really good. I wouldn't risk it just to get John Moran. John Moran is he is still considered injury prone. So yeah, definitely just go with Kuzma and Paul George. And if you're like, oh, I want Malik Monk, he's 28 average. There should be players in a 12-man team that's 30 average that should be sitting on your fantasy. If you guys haven't already, go check out our other video where we kind of pointed out some players that uh, could potentially turn your season around. For example, Jaime Jaquez Jr. still 30% rostered. He should be available in your leagues, uh, hopefully, and he's been averaging close to 30 fantasy points per game the last week or so.
Yeah, so those just to name a few players that you guys can definitely get. And when you guys are considering these trades, you guys kind of have to think, like Anson said already, who's droppable? Who are you really gonna keep on your team? Drummond, droppable after a week. Malik Monk, he's having a good stretch. Think he's borderline rosterable, so you're trading Kuzma and George for John Morant. Some of you guys say, "Hey, I really like John Morant, like his upside." Okay, fine, take John Morant, but you're giving up Kuzma and Paul George, who are forward positions. First of all, you got to understand that as well, where these forward positions are more desirable in these leagues since there's a lot of guards. So if you're guard heavy, you don't really want to get John Morant for Kuzma and PG, right? But if you do have more forwards, then it wouldn't be too bad of a trade, just depending on how you guys are and where you guys sit in your current rankings. But let's move on from this trade. We have Ingram and Fox for DeMar DeRozan, Drew Holiday, and Brandon Podziemski. Uh, I think this was kind of in my opinion, a no-brainer too. I think I'm just rolling with Fox and Ingram. Fox, top 10 easily player as of right now. He's looking like a top 10 player. Ingram playing really, really well as well. Top 30, top 25, even like getting up there. DeRozan slowing down. Drew Holiday's borderline, 32, 33 average. So in my opinion, this is like a steal for if you're getting De'Aaron Fox and Ingram, you better take that trade like easily, easily. Would not even a question.
Yeah, and I noticed how Allen just kind of he didn't even mention but Podzemski. It's because you don't really want to consider players that you probably drop anyway. So it's really just Ingram and Fox for DeMar and Drew Holiday straight up. And if you just go straight up Ingram and DeMar, they're pretty similar. I would rank them pretty similarly, even though Ingram has been doing better recently. DeMar, I would say it's more reliable. Ingram deals with a lot of injury issues, and then Fox and Drew Holiday, it's not even close.
Yeah, that this is one of those trades where it's very, very horrible for one side, and you're gonna win the entire thing if you're able to get that trade. But let's move on from this trade. So we have Sengun, Dante Exum, and Jeremy Grant for Jalen Brunson and Turner. Okay, so this one isn't horrible. Okay, in my opinion, this one isn't horrible. This one's actually a relatively decent trade. Okay, so let's dissect a little bit, right? Sengun for Brunson. I think Sengun has a little better upside. He is like the number one option on the Rockets, and he is showing glimpses of being able to average 45, 46 every like consistently. Jalen Brunson around that same level too. Both have high upside, so let's just cancel them out. Jeremy Grant, Dante Exum for Turner. So Turner and Jeremy Grant, I would kind of prefer a little bit on Turner's side, actually. Jeremy Grant's great, but I think there's too many people on Portland as of right now. I think Miles Turner is going to get a little bit better, maybe average around 38 to 39, maybe even 40. So you're really getting Dante Exum and Jeremy Grant for Turner. And in my opinion, I do, like I said already, I do like Turner, but Dante Exum is going to be in the starting lineup. He is a little injured right now. I don't know if he's going to be injury prone, but Jeremy Grant has potential upside to kind of produce with what Turner is doing. So it is a very, very fair trade in my opinion. So if you're in this situation, what would you kind of pick? Well, in my opinion, I think I'll roll with the Sengun side. Maybe just because I like Sengun, he's a better position. He's a center, and you also get Jeremy Grant, who's a power forward, who's definitely a must roster in anything from 8 man or even 6 man or 8 man and up, basically.
Yeah, if you were on the Sengun side, I would definitely just try to keep Sengun. Maybe you can try Dante Exum and Jeremy Grant just for Miles Turner. There are some questions about whether or not Dante Exum will be 12-man rosterable. Obviously, with the return of Kyrie, Luka Doncic, he was still in the lineup. He got injured, but how much usage is he actually going to get? We don't really know. I definitely expect his numbers to dip a little bit. I think Sengun's the best player out in this entire trade, so that's what I'll roll with. He's averaging 46. The past 7 games, he's averaging about over 50. So Jalen Brunson, he's been kind of on and off this season. He has some really good stretches. He's right now he's come back down to earth, but he's still putting up 30, 40 fantasy points per game. And then obviously Miles Turner is better than Jeremy Grant. Uh, but I do value the best player in this trade, which is Sengun.
Yep. And I think that should wrap up our video. Let me just check. Yep, that should wrap up our video. So if you guys are interested in, wanting to hear our opinion on some of the trade you guys were planning to consider taking or sending out, come join our Discord. We're more than happy to answer most of your questions, right? Just so there is a lot of questions, so we are trying to get through it as quickly as possible, and obviously trying to help you guys win your fantasy season. But that should wrap up our video. Did you have anything you want to add, Anson?
Yeah, just if you guys haven't already, again, join our Discord. If you guys have trades, requests, go drop it in our Discord. You can also drop it in our comments. Maybe if you guys enjoy this type of content, we could try dropping. We're just really experimenting with the type of content that we're trying to push out. So if you guys enjoy kind of seeing us analyze trades and give our opinions, then let us know. And we'll try to drop more videos like this.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Yeah. And with that, we'll end our video here and we'll see you guys in our next video. Peace.